One of the things I enjoyed about flying the Blackbird was knowing that information is power. The information we would gather could very well preclude bombs having to be dropped at all. It could save a lot of people's lives by having the right information at the right time.
The Blackbird crews were successfully infiltrating enemy territory and gathering a massive intelligence about their adversaries. But with the Iron Curtain still firmly in place and Soviet technology constantly improving, how long would the SR-71 remain flying safely in such dangerous areas? In October 1973, they would face their most crucial test. In the early 1970s, the world's attention focused on the Middle East. Tension between America's ally Israel and her Arab neighbors was reaching breaking point. On the 6th of October 1973, Soviet-backed Egypt and Syria attacked Israel and made dramatic territorial gains. With the Middle East caught up in the politics of the Cold War, an Israeli defeat would bring with it the threat of nuclear conflict. The Soviets had launched their Cosmos 596 satellite, bringing them immediate intelligence from the battlefronts and putting them one step ahead of the United States. It was time to bring in the Blackbird. The SR-71 would fly directly from Griffiths Air Force Base, New York, to the Middle East. The flight would be over 11 hours long, with 6 refuelings. No Blackbird crew member had ever experienced such a lengthy, complex mission.
I flew a 10.5-hour training flight, and I was beat. By the time I got out of the airplane, I said, whew, that's about as far as I can fly. But when they said you can fly 11 hours and 20 minutes, you jump up and you say, yes, sir, you know, I'll be happy to do that.
I picked Jim Shelton as the first pilot to fly the mission. I knew he was an extremely reliable, highly qualified, and had done extremely well in all of his training and everything. So I had total confidence that if the mission could be done, that Jim would do it.
On the 12th of October, under codename Giant Reach, the mission began.
We took off from Rome, New York around 1 or 2 in the morning because you want to be over a target area somewhere between 11 and 1 o'clock. This allows you to have some shadows so the photo interpreters can go ahead and judge elevation, but yet get you the best sun position you can have.
By 10 o'clock in the morning, the SR-71 had reached its second refueling point over Portugal. Because of the highly classified nature of this mission, no one other than the tanker crew knew they were coming.
On the way into that particular refueling, the tanker crews said the Portuguese control kept calling out an airplane in relation to the tanker. And the tanker says, you know, we don't see anybody. Of course, they knew it was us, but I'm sure that they could tell on their scope something was happening because the 2 blips merged for a while, for 20 minutes, and then this one accelerates on.
Jim Shelton approached the Egyptian coastline. The Egyptians were well equipped, with their Soviet allies constantly replenishing their supplies.
Russia was developing the SA-5, which was a missile that would go up, well above your altitude, and come back down at you. And yes, that was a concern.
With 160 SAM missile sites, many secretly commanded by Soviets, and sophisticated radar tracking systems, they were on full-scale alert, watching the skies for any enemy infiltration.
As soon as we got into range of the Egyptian SAM sites, they started tracking us.
The Egyptians, alerted to an unidentified aircraft appearing on their radar systems and presuming the plane to be either Israeli or American, scrambled to launch their surface-to-air missiles. 80,000 feet above them, traveling at a speed of over Mach 3, Jim Shelton's Blackbird was gathering thousands of feet of film, capturing the extent and whereabouts of the Egyptian military forces.
You had the radar receiver in the back cockpit. Gary could tell me that, yes, now we're being tracked by some SAM missile we need to do something. So at that particular point, we would jam, we would speed up.
By the time the Egyptian missiles were ready to fire, the SR-71 had already cleared their airspace and was speeding towards Israel. But the heavily armed Israelis also had no knowledge of this covert Blackbird operation and immediately went on full alert.
When we rolled in on the first pass over Israel, my defensive system just lighted up like a pinball machine. And I indicated to my pilot, I got all these indications back here. I said, just, maybe keep your eyes open because it seems like somebody's shooting at us.
Despite launching a barrage of missiles, the Israelis did not manage to shoot their presumed enemy out of the sky. The Blackbird headed back to the United States.
We got everything we were tasked for, got the airplane back, and that's the first time airplane, the SR-71, had flown 11 hours and 20 minutes. After we land, the next couple of days, Gary and I get invited to the Pentagon. Admiral Moore, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, wanted to thank us for the work that we had done, and they showed us some photos.
The photographs were detailed enough to show how many Israeli tanks had been destroyed in the initial battles.
We were to go ahead and resupply the Israelis with some of their lost equipment. So the photo interpreters are counting the number of tanks that we would be replacing. So it was a very crucial point for the SR-71.
It was a very sensitive mission, and there was a lot of pressure to get that first one done. Jim and his backseater nailed them. He got all the targets, and everyone was absolutely elated.
8 more successful Blackbird missions supplied detailed intelligence that the war was now turning in Israel's favor. With this information, the United States was able to broker an eventual ceasefire on the 24th of October.
I think the SR-71 contributed greatly to the resolution.